Check 1, 2, check. Here we go. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our third annual concurrent FAFSA College Night. The night when we get to freak all of you parents out. Because as Sundays become real and getting more real by the day, for those of you that have seniors, and you suddenly feel like, oh my goodness, I should have been doing more. But I trust you. Through the night tonight, we're going to prove and show to you that even if you have done nothing so far, you're still okay. You need to panic a little bit. I'm just kidding, you don't. Our hope tonight is that you will walk away with some good, solid information on a number of topics that we want to talk about tonight that include and range from filling out the FAFSA form, concurrent credit here at Nampa Christian, getting your juniors and your seniors set on a track going off to college. We have a couple of special guests that will be giving some presentations and speaking tonight. But our hope is that as we continue to do this year after year, that we are becoming very informative and helping you and prepare your students for what we call grade 13, okay? And that is our hope tonight, that we're going to give you, we're going to reinforce and give you some confidence that you're going to make this through this. Yes, you're going to survive. No, you're not the only one, and you will get through this and you can do this. But let's open up tonight in a word of prayer, and then I'll invite Mrs. Dury up as we begin our time. Father in heaven, thank you so much for the opportunity that we have and that are gathered here, Lord. I pray that this evening, Lord, that you would bless it. God, we invite your Spirit to come and be with us here. Lord, we ask that you would calm hearts and minds. Father, God, I pray for our speakers and our presenters, Lord, that you would help them to speak clearly, Father, and that as we conspire for student success in grade 13, God, that we can help everybody navigate sometimes these confusing roads, Father God, but we just ask for clarity and wisdom and understanding tonight. We ask these things in the precious name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Hey, I want you to know the next lady that I'm going to introduce and bring up here tonight this is your third year here, right? Third year here. And Mrs. Dury has become an invaluable resource to myself. She jumped into this position with both feet and said, I'm going to take it and go. So I've never seen anyone that is more organized, more conscientious, and with a more can-do willing attitude to say, you know what, I may not know that, but I'm going to go learn about it. And she has just been phenomenal as a right-hand person to me to help with Nampa Christian and all the counseling and all the career counseling and stuff that goes along with that. And so I would like to just welcome Mrs. Dury. So come on up, Linda. Thank you.
Thank you for being here tonight. What I want to talk about first is our website. I'm going to show you the resources that I've put up there. I try to keep this really up to date with the most current information, the most current scholarships, any news that I get in my email that about college events or opportunities, I try to post on the website. So I'm going to have Mr. E pull it up and show you this if you're not familiar with it. Because hopefully a lot of questions that you have will be answered here. So down on the bar over here, you'll see guidance and career counseling. So first, when you pull this up, any upcoming events or announcements, I can at my discretion, I put announcements up here. We have listed colleges that are coming to our campus to talk to kids. They come and they set up right over here at lunch and just are available to talk to kids, answer questions, give away stuff. We have several coming up in the next several weeks. And then I posted up here our PSAT testing as well. That's coming up for June 1st. That will be relevant tonight. I found this college readiness timeline that I thought was really helpful. These visuals are really helpful for me. So it just gives you a general idea. This is where you need to be in this area at this stage of the game. So I had a college rep look at it and told me, yeah, this looks good. So if you're wondering, are we on track? Where are we at? Where are we behind? This would be a good indicator to tell you where you're at in the process. On the right is just a list of resources that have to do with how to prepare for college. What are some of the steps? You'll see down here, if you go up, Mr. E, there's the Common App, which is a place that you can apply for several colleges at once if they've enrolled in that program. A lot of kids use that to apply for colleges. And then the FAFSA right below it is where you can go and apply and fill out that application for FAFSA. And then as you go down, there's just information about college readiness and what the paths are to get to college. The bottom resource I just added is it's actually a job search. This is a local job search for high school students. You can enter in your zip code and it'll pull up jobs that might be good for high school students in our area. So that's an awesome thing, I think, that I just found. Use it and let me know if it works or not, if it's helpful. So back over to the left, I want to go to scholarships. We have a tab with scholarships. I get lots and lots of scholarships that come to my email, so I kind of vet them out, make sure they're appropriate and applicable for us, and if they are, we can post them here. And Mr. Antosh is fantastic. He gets them up within a couple hours of me sending them to him, and he just gives a general idea of what the scholarship is, where you can go apply for it, how much the amount is, and if they're up here, you can still apply for them. He takes them off after the deadline has been reached, for the most part. We miss them sometimes, but there's a bunch of stuff here. Then on the right, there's another resource tabs. These are all scholarship locators. So FastWeb is a really popular scholarship locator that you can go, enter information, and just get scholarship possibilities. The one I'm most excited about is Going Merry. This is a brand new scholarship search site. The way that this works, it's kind of like Common App. You enter all your information in, and then it matches you with scholarships that you would be eligible for. You don't have to apply over and over and over with the same information for scholarships. You enter your profile in once, and then any additional information, if there's specific essays or things that they need, you have to put those in. But it saves that time of writing your name and your address, and all of those kind of identifying information is all managed by Going Merry. So that's a brand new thing. I've encouraged students to go on there, get started. We have several that have already applied, and hopefully we'll hear back and have kids that get scholarships. What I like to tell kids is that if you don't apply, you have a 100% chance of getting no money. But if you apply, there's something there. There's some opportunity. And this new Going Merry makes it a lot easier to apply for a lot. Okay, so if we go down, let's go to that SAT, ACT testing. Here I have listed the registration deadlines and the test dates for both the ACT and SAT for this year. If you are a senior and have not done this yet, you need to apply and take it as soon as you can. That's an important thing. We really want kids to be taking this their junior year. In a junior year, in the summer, there's some testing. But ideally, you have this done before your senior year, so that when you enter your senior year, you can start your college application process, you're not worried about that test, you have it ready to go. The registration, where it says here, that takes you directly to the site where you can register. Each of the sites have practice tests and study guides and tips for anything that you could think of for the test. So this is a place to go to get that taken care of. And then finally, we have our Proud Scholarship there that we will post for seniors in the spring. Right now, you can't do anything on there right now, other than look at it. But this is where we'll apply seniors if you're going to plan to go to a Christian university. And then concurrent credit. So concurrent credit is one of the most confusing things for people. It was for me when I first came. It was just confusing. I didn't understand it. I didn't get all the terminology. So we tried to, Mr. Ian and the teachers, this year especially, create a page that just gives really, hopefully, good information so that you have all that you need. Nampa High, and you're enrolled at BSU, CWI, or NNU, depending on the class. When you finish the semester or the year, if you are doing concurrent credit, you will have a transcript credit at high school here that will give you a grade for. And then at that institution, they will also have a transcript credit that they create, and it creates your permanent college transcript. If you are taking one of these classes, it doesn't mean you're automatically enrolled in concurrent credit. You have to enroll your student into the university that they're taking the concurrent credit through. And that can be done here. Jim, if you scroll up, there's concurrent credit information and there's a registration link. And at that registration link for each of the universities, that's where you go get your student enrolled, you can pay there, there's information with each university. It's basically the same thing at each university, but each has a little, they're on an individual institution, so there's little differences with each program. But your point of contact for your concurrent credit is your teacher, the teacher taking them. They will provide information to students and do that in a timely manner so that students can register. But if you're not sure, here's all the information here. Okay, any questions that you guys have about those things I talked about? Yeah.
So quick, does it say on there the timeline when you need to do the registration for concurrent credits?
Yeah, so here on the website, there's a registration deadline on our chart, and that date is the deadline that needs to be done by. So there's a few classes that you won't register for them. Any of the, both of the CWI classes, we don't have to register until after the new year. And then pre-cal and personal finance, those are, you don't register for those until after the new year. So these are the dates.
So, on the scholarships, you start applying for those when you're actually a junior?
You could start applying for them when you're a junior. There are scholarships out there that you can apply for when you're in middle school, when you're a freshman. So there's really, it's worthwhile if you want to be looking to look as a junior, especially.
And then let's say you get a scholarship, and it sits there until you decide what college you're going to, and then I'll get the over.
Yep. The credits will transfer. So you don't have an option with these classes. This is where you get the concurrent credit through. You don't have an option to choose which university you want to get it through. But we've had no trouble with these classes transferring to different universities. They're general ed. They're really easy to transfer. So there hasn't been any problem. Especially in Idaho institutions, all the institutions in Idaho are really cooperative with each other. But out of state, we haven't had any trouble either with kids not being able to get these transferred to other universities. Yes?
Is there one of those scholarship sites you'd recommend over others that has more local scholarships? I found that a lot of them are those national scholarships.
They are national scholarships. Just our website would be the best place for local. I don't know of any local base where these are all the local scholarships. Hopefully, Going Merry eventually will do that because any scholarship can be entered in there, and then when you type in "this is where I live," any local scholarships will come up. But that depends on if that awarding company or person has entered it into Going Merry. So, and because it's so new, that's such just all getting put in. But every time I get a scholarship, I put it on our website and I send it to Going Merry so that we can get those in there. Yeah.
So if you get on that Going Merry and you find a scholarship elsewhere, you don't have to go through that service, that app.
No, you don't have to.
But can you do it two places? You
Well,
can go through that app, but what if you found something you wanted to go through a regular
you could. Yeah.
process?
Yeah.
Okay, doesn't matter. Okay.
I don't know if you know this one, but Canyon County has a scholarship. You can go to canyoncounty.org
scholarships that come out.
for high school seniors, and in the spring, I think, later this year.
But I'll get those and post all.
All of those. So everything that I have, it will be on the website.
Oh, the last thing for the current credit, for those of you who have students or you students who are taking classes, let's see, here's CWI. Is that what's coming?
What are you talking about?
Mr. Harris has
Oh,
this
no.
history.
So, Mr. Harris wanted me to announce for any seniors that are taking government this year, a representative from BSU, that's up on this one, a representative from BSU is coming on the 21st to school, and Mr. Harris will be taking all of the seniors into the computer labs, and for those that want to sign up for his concurrent credit, BSU is just coming out, and they will all sign up for that on that day.
So they'll be here to answer questions. You can do that ahead of time if you want to, but if you'd rather just I don't know when that will be. It will probably be during
It'll be during
classes.
it'll be during each student's government period. The rep stays here all day. Okay, so credit card information, if you want to send that to pay for it at the time of registration, it's always my recommendation that yes, pay for the class at the time you register. Like Mrs. Dury said, many of the institutions have own unique things. And you can put money down and then you can observe or be a participant in the class and then finish paying for it up till the very end of the class. But how many of you remember to do that? That's the thing. Our recommendation is that you always pay for it at the time you register. However, for this BSU one, since BSU is coming out that day, your students can register and sign up for it. It'll create their link, it will create their portal, everything they need. And then my guess, it would be just best to come home that night and say, hey, I know that you guys signed up for BSU concurrent credit this morning. Let's sit down and let's log into that portal site that you created and let's pay for it. Let's just get that off our plate right away.
And with all of these, when the students register, you as parents will be receiving a notification of those because these institutions know where the money comes from. They're going to make sure that the right people are getting that information. Okay? As more questions come up, I can answer those afterward.
All right. What we're going to do now is I'm going to introduce our next speaker. And I first had the opportunity to meet Josh a number of years ago. It was like my first year in Navigation, I think. He was actually a recruiter for Grand Canyon University. And he said, hey, he came to introduce himself, so I want you to fly down, and I want to go hang out and show you Grand Canyon University and all we have to offer for the students down there. A dynamic guy. We are lucky enough now that NNU pulled him back, and he is now a recruiter for NNU, but that was his previous job. Now he's like some special high-up director of recruitment and outreach. So he's the director now. So he won't be coming around as much as we've normally seen him. He's got his underlings to take care of that. But a really dynamic guy that we're really glad to have a good relationship with NNU. So please welcome Josh Hodges from NNU.
I was with NNU as an admissions counselor for almost 7 years, then worked for GCU locally, and I came back to NNU. It was a fun dynamic when I would come back to a school like this, and they all recognize me and say, hey, remember that GCU stuff I said? Never mind that, let's talk about NNU now. It was awkward for a bit. Anyway, I'm just going to talk about just a few things. I don't have anything for the screen, so we're just going to talk through it, but it should be a fairly simple process. Oh yeah, before we go on, come on guys. Everybody look back at those that are waiting for their moment to come to the front row. Now is that time. Oh no, they go. Next person walks in. Anyway, I'm not going to get into some real in-depth stuff. I'm just going to keep it simple, but I just want to talk about two kind of major things. First of all, kind of just the college application process in general, in addition to, just kind of the college decision process. How to go through the college, working through all the college choices. So, my first tidbit for the application process, both for students and parents, is this. You got this. stress about it. Some of these applications might be pretty strenuous, others are not. NNU's honestly is not that difficult. Really, it's just acquire information so we can start the process to say you applied. I can't speak to all the applications out there in the world, but for example, ours, give us some student information, give us your family information, give us your educational information, hit submit, and you applied to NNU. It's that simple. So with that, don't stress on those. And with this, I'll kind of piggyback on both things as far as the college decision process and the application. If you have 1, 3, 5, 10 schools you're looking at, just spend the night and just crush out all those applications. Like I said, most of them you should be able to do in one evening. It shouldn't kill you too badly. But just get them out of the way. What I tell students when I interact with them is just, if you have those that you're looking at, just get this done so you have one less thing to deal with and worry about your senior year. You won't have a bunch of people like me calling about applications and forms and things like that. Just get that process over with, spend the night or a weekend, get it out of the way so you just enjoy your senior year, enjoy your last, I guess it's early in the year, but your last time here, focus on being a student and not worrying about all this college stuff right then. So the main thing, just relax. You've got this, you've come this far, we'll get you through the rest of the way. Second, with that, if you do have any questions on this, again, I can only speak for us, but probably every college is like this, please call in and check or email and ask, swing by because you're local, whatever it is. If you're confused, nervous, scared, frustrated, whatever it might be, if it's not working the way it should, let us know and we'll get you through it. Like, so the application part's really simple. It's after that things might go awry for a variety of reasons. Usually it's your fault, but we'll get you through that. As Jim said, I am now the director of admissions. Basically, we'll keep the title simple, so I'm not going to be working with Nampa Christian like I have been for the past 3 years. We just hired Lexi Tubbs, who just graduated from our basketball team. She's awesome. She's traveling in California right now, so when she gets back, I'll have her swing by. But I did bring her card with me today, so if you haven't stole that, you can steal that. And if you have follow-up questions, feel free to hit her up and she can help with that. Probably the one thing that gets hung up on applications the most, both on your side and our side, is the word transfer, or transfer students. There he is. Good for that guy walking in like he owns the place, right?
Yeah, thanks.
Well, I told him, I said, whoever walks in, I'm letting them know, and you guys sit up front. I also made that stipulation. So
Yeah.
on this
Thanks,
one.
buddy.
You're welcome. Transfer student. Maybe not the word, but the phrase transfer student. So let me put it this way. If you are in high school, it does not matter how much concurrent credit, college credit, transfer credit. Washington does a thing called Running Start, where you can basically finish your AA. It does not matter what you've accomplished in high school. As far as applying to college, you're still incoming as a freshman. Even academically, that might be the case. You're coming in as a new student. Transfer student means you graduated high school, or left high school, whatever, you're done with high school. You've gone on to another college and are taking college credits there, and those credits are transferring to us from another institution. That's the difference in transfer student. With that too, and I'll let Wes kind of get into this with the financial aid stuff, so I won't go too far into the weeds with this. There is a difference between coming to a university as a first-time student and coming to a university as a transfer student. The biggest difference is the financial aid. The scholarships, university across the country for every college are different and usually significantly lower as a transfer student. Simply because incoming freshmen are usually 17, 18, they're just starting this whole process, likely need some help with the financial aid process. Whereas a transfer student, you might be 18, but you might be 56, and there's a whole gamut and range in between. And so because the financial spectrum is so different, the transfer scholarships generally are a little lower. That's the main reason. There's a dozen others, but that's the one that matters. So when you're applying, for us at NNU, we have a counselor who works specifically with transfer students. So if you say that you're a transfer student, usually we'll catch it because when you finally get that transcript, when you get a transcript from here, and that's all it is, we realize you're not actually a transfer student, but you're not in college. We can catch that. But that might be where some hang-up happens with both just the admissions process, the financial aid process. So just so you know, just so you're aware, as you're applying, what I tell students, I even tell students, honestly, don't even list your college credit and concurrent credit on your application now. We don't need to know today. The time that matters is down the road. If you do decide, for example, I'll stick with NNU, if you do decide to come in NNU and we start working on building your class schedule for next fall, that's when we need to go through the gamut of what you've taken, how it transfers, if it applies to your schedule we're building now or later. So I even tell students, don't even put that stuff on there because you're going to spend all this time and it triggers a whole bunch of things. You're welcome to do it. It just makes life simpler. Just say incoming freshman and give us that stuff later on. You're welcome to put it on there. Don't flee from it or hide from it, but it just makes life simpler. It's kind of giving you a little tip for a little insider information now. But the main thing, take away, don't list yourself as a transfer student because you're not, and that causes headaches down the road. You might be transferring concurrent credit, but you're not a transfer student. You're cool there? Beautiful. There was one other thing I was going to say. This is why you need a presentation. I forgot. But as far as the college decision process and the college search process, the biggest thing I can suggest to you guys is if you have one school, 5, 10, whatever it is, as many as you can go visit feasibly, go visit those schools. You can only gain so much through brochures, YouTube videos, word of mouth from friends, family. Get on the campus and see it for yourself. Almost always, you likely within the first 10 minutes, I've heard this countless times from students or parents, within the first, maybe I'll say half hour, you get a vibe almost immediately of like, no, or yeah, I can see this is home next year. For NU's visits, they're designed and built. It's not just show up and take a tour, we'll point out the buildings for you. They're designed to give you the feel of one day in the life of an NU student. So you get to attend class, meet our professors, eat our food, we talk through the admission stuff, you get a tour. Many of them we've integrated some of the students' activities, so like room hockey we're doing on Friday, we have a group that's going to join them. Our overnight next week is joining the fall party. So we try to give you like the experience of campus and community and student life, so it's not just walk around with the old people trying to sales pitch you. So if you can get to something, I know something might be far away, and that's on you as far as the cost and if you can make it happen, but if you can get there, it doesn't hurt your wallet too much to make a few trips. Go and see those schools because it happens to us, it happens the other way within the first week. We have students that show up to you that have never been here and they don't like it, and we understand that. We get numerous phone calls on day 2 of students to decide to go somewhere else and then call us and be like, yeah, no, this isn't happening. How do I get to NU in the next 2 days? And we can do it, it's chaotic, but we can pull it off. So go and visit the campus, see it for yourself, because that's going to be your home for 4 years, and you don't want to buy a home if you never actually stepped onto it and see it for yourself. So you can get there and check it out. The other thing, if you have the opportunity, like she mentioned, schools will be here and you will be here. If they'll let us, I'll put them on the spot. We'll bring pizza again for lunch. Just come and grab a free meal and go talk to these colleges if they're here. If you're interested, it doesn't really cost you anything. Just go have a conversation, steal a brochure. The Christian College Fair, which we are coordinating, is on October 22nd at Tree City Nazarene. There's the National College Fair a week later. So I think you guys go there. That's right. So go take the opportunity and visit these colleges and ask the questions. That's the best thing you can actually do for yourself is just ask those questions. If you don't know, check in with us. I did bring a brochure that most of you already stole it. It's kind of our smaller one, just kind of give you just a quick snapshot of NU and the majors we offer and what student life is like and all that type of stuff. We'll go through the financial aid here a little bit. But just engage. The best thing you can do for yourself is engage in the process. Especially with financial aid, and I'll give you a prequel for West. Man over there is a guru. This is like your 42nd year, right? Yeah. And I think many of you, as you come in and said hello to him, had him as your financial aid counselor, if I'm not mistaken, if you were a student. The guy knows everything. He's a guru at this. What I'll say is just be involved in the process. Ask questions. Stay in contact. If you're not sure about something, if you are confused about something, if you just want to say, hey, did anybody, disappear yesterday and a few extra scholarships came available, let me know. Stuff like that. Check in with those guys. So just be active in the process. If you're not sure, let us know. One of our favorite/not favorite activities in the admissions office is as we get to March, April, May, we're starting to contact those students that haven't returned phone calls since October, and we don't know what's going on. Don't be that guy. Stay engaged with us as you can. I'm kind of just going to wrap it up here because I'm not saying a lot of profound stuff, I know. But any questions so far on just the admissions process? I can speak generally to most of it. Obviously, I know NU's in great detail, but a lot of them, they might have some differences here and there, but the overall process is basically the same. The questions back to you guys. So my last thing I'll say is, I kind of mentioned before, the applying and getting stuff done. Just get it done early. NU, many schools have something like this. NU has what we call an early action deadline, November 1st and December 1st. We have two. If you miss the first one, you can jump in the second one. If you do arts, it's not an early decision, so be aware of that as you're looking at college. There's a difference between early action and early decision. Early decision means I've decided I'm going there, usually, that's what the terminology means. Early action is just going through the acceptance process to get accepted and whatever perks might come with that. We used to give out a sweatshirt, and I would bring them here at chapel and kind of make a big scene about it. This year we're switching up, and this might be supposed to be a surprise, I'm just going to tell you guys, because you don't know this. We're switching up to this kind of cool celebration box that will have like a t-shirt we're designing just for accepted students. Lanyard pops off with the cell phones, your acceptance certificates, and confetti, whatever else we can fit in the box. Just kind of make like a little party that comes in the mail, because everybody likes real, genuine mail, and this is going to be a little party in the box. So you guys will be getting that if you go through the process. So if you have those schools you're interested in, go through and get that stuff done so you can know if you're going to get accepted. Right after we accept you, we send that over to Wes and his team, and they work on the financial stuff. So if you're genuinely interested in NU, you might be able to know just from start to finish with the financial stuff. If it's feasible and you want to make it happen, the money can be done and ready for you before Thanksgiving if you do the first one, or Christmas for the second one. So another thing, just get those out of the way, and that way you can spend the next semester enjoying college, or enjoying high school, working on that college decision process, visiting those schools, and like I said before, not having a bunch of people like me counting you down about, well, we still need this form or that form. Just go online, your student portal, spend the hour, check those boxes, get it done, so we can have that little party in the box with you guys. Cool? There it is. So that's a quick snapshot of what I do day in and day out in 15 minutes. If you do have any questions, I'll stay here afterwards, but Lexi's cards over there. And in some capacity, at least for the students, you'll see us once or twice or 3 times, at least this semester. And I think we're going to try to coordinate, I'm going to put you on the spot to maybe bring a group over if we can, to still your seniors for a day, have you come check the place out. But ask your questions, even if you want to connect with NU because you're familiar with us, but you're asking us about another college, that happens, that's okay, don't be bashful about that. It's not our favorite phone call, but we want to help genuinely. So if there's something we can help out with, even I get a lot still of GCU and NU comparisons, I'm happy to do that, even if that means they sound cooler. I get that, the campus is ridiculous. I would at least go check it out if I were you. But ask us whatever we can help with, because that's what we're here for.
Thanks, Josh. Obviously, changing the battery in the microphone did not work. Technology is one of those really weird things. You never know that it's there until it starts failing you. And so I apologize for that. We're trying to figure it out. I don't know if it's something with the microphone, if it's something with speaking softly or something like that. I think that has something to it, but it's okay. We'll get it going. I wanted to tag on one thing that Josh really emphasized on this thing, and that was college visits. And how important it is to make sure you get out and go see some colleges and get on the campus and go see that. One thing that we did last year here at Nampa Christian to make that easier for you seniors is I realized that seniors were leaving and they were going on college visits, and they would come back and they'd been gone for a couple days, and then, oh my goodness, they were counted absent as part of your 9 absences. And for the most part, that doesn't really matter. Most students don't run into that 9 absence rule. But for some that were, this was concerning to me. So, seniors, if you are heading out on a college visit, Nampa Christian now allows for 2 days absent from school at no charge to you for your 9 absence rule. Okay? All you need to do is, if you know that you're going to be gone, come by the office, see Mrs. Vermeer, pick up one of our little pre-filled out papers that we have. You'll take that with you and follow the instructions on it. You just need to obtain some documentation from the college. When you're gone, we'll mark you as absent. But when you come back and bring the documentation back that says, hey, I was at this college visiting, then we go on and we mark our little CV, which stands for college visit code, into our attendance, make it retroactive, and then it doesn't count against you. Okay? And so we do that for 2 college visit days at Nampa Christian. And I hope that that helps encourage students to get out on campus, because that is important. 2 days per year, yes, just 2 days per year. Otherwise, suddenly seniors are going to be visiting 35 colleges, and they may or may not be around, right? I see the twinkle in your eye, Katie. All right, I'd like to introduce next Wes Magnan. As Josh said, now personally, I met Wes just tonight, but it sounds like this guy has a wealth of experience. He's going to be talking to us about FAFSA, loans, grants, scholarship dollars, obviously a long distinguished career at NNU. And Wes, I'm glad to have you here tonight. Let's give Wes a round of applause.
Well, so nice to see you all here tonight. I know that Monday Night Football is, on probably right now. So I appreciate you coming out tonight so we can at least kind of go through a few of these things. Nampa Christian is, dear to my heart and my family's heart and that kind of stuff. My wife taught at Nampa Christian in elementary school, and both of our kids graduated from Nampa Christian, and so we're tight with you guys. And we love Nampa Christian, and always come to the auction and everything else. So, and not many teams can whoop Parma as bad as we did this past weekend. So that was okay. You guys did a good job, and we're excited about talking a little bit about financial aid here tonight. So that'll be some of the things that we'll kind of delve into. Let me see if I can just move through a couple of those and get started here. The 3 threes of financial aid. This may help you to kind of think of it as like a sermon or something. You got 3-point sermons all the time that you listen to. And so 3 very important people in this process, 3 sources of aid, and 3 different types of aid. And so, oops, went the wrong direction. Let's try this again. Somewhere, there we go. There are local scholarships things in the community, and there was a question over here a little bit ago about scholarships, trying to find the local types of things, because so much of it that is thrown at you is the national type of scholarships. Probably some of the places that you can kind of look to try to find local scholarships would be like in the community itself, would be Chamber of Commerce, the local library, different service clubs, a number of places like that, the local newspaper, those kind of things, kind of be looking for that. There's a website that is kind of ran by the state of Idaho, that I'll get that to the counselor's office to you so that it can be put on your web page and that kind of stuff too. A number of different scholarships that different companies and foundations have provided and that kind of thing too for Idaho residents. So we'll kind of get you some more information on that, and we'll get that to you, Amanda, so that you get that communicated out there. The institution itself, the colleges that you're thinking about attending, probably that stuff that Josh was talking a little bit about, the application itself. Most schools will just use the application for their application process for both admissions and financial aid. Some schools will have a separate application for admissions and financial aid. So when you're looking at 2 different schools, try to find out what it is that particular school wants you to do. They usually have that on their website, or talking to their admissions officer and that kind of stuff will help you to kind of get communication that way to not miss out on something. Probably we as parents, we hear about scholarships that are being claimed every year and that kind of stuff. And it's usually just because somebody didn't know about a scholarship or didn't get communicated, missed a deadline or something like that. So be sure that you're communicating with the schools that you're thinking about applying to, and try to get their information directly. The government is another source of financial aid. The FAFSA form, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. It's free, so there should be no reason not to apply for that. The reason that you want to use the FAFSA form is it is a government form, but a lot of schools will use it for institutional aid as well. So it may be that you may not be able to receive some free money from the federal government because your income or your assets or the size of the family is too small or whatever it might be. It might be that you not get any free money from the federal government, but because you filed that FAFSA form, the institution itself might be able to give you some additional help. So every student, every family needs to file that FAFSA form at least their freshman year going into college, their senior year in high school. And once there are multiple kids out of the family that go to college, be sure that you apply again, because one of the major components in their formula is how many of the family members go to college. And so once they kind of look at that and they say, oh, there's two of you in the family that are in college now, they divide that family contribution up by the number of students in college. So that will all of a sudden change a $10,000 expected family contribution down to a $5,000, which gets you in the bottom of the Pell Grant range. So don't neglect filing the FAFSA form. It's a very important piece that you want to do. The three different types of aid are scholarships, loans, and employment. Free money, we all want to get as much free money as we possibly can. So go after the free money. The loans, you go after them, but be cautious about them. Try not to borrow more than you actually need to in order to cover your cost at school, what you feel like you're going to be able to earn when you get out of school, what your degree is going to be in, and that kind of stuff. The loans are usually low interest loans and are not requiring payments while the student is in school, and so don't be afraid of them, but do keep them at arm's length. Use them as the last resort. If you have to, then use the loans. Employment opportunities too. If you can work on campus, that may give you an opportunity to earn a little bit more to help with your living expense money, your personal items, your deodorant, toothpaste, your laundry money, date money. No, that's what I'm going to talk about. So, the employment will give you opportunities to kind of fill some of that gap and give you the daily necessities money. The very important people in the process are going to be like your high school counselor. Amanda's got great resources. She's already kind of given you a lot of websites and sources and that kind of thing, and she'll keep that communicated with you. The Proud Scholarship here at Nemba Christian. Be sure that you apply for that if you're thinking about going on to a Christian school. And the key to that is not only applying for it as a senior, but don't forget to apply and renew your application for your continuing years in college as well. And there'll be information about that when you do apply for those kind of things. The college financial aid officer at the particular school that you're thinking about attending, start building a relationship with those individuals stuff too. It might be that something happens in your family that one of the people lost their job, or there was some high medical expenses that came up, or something like that. Start building a relationship with the financial aid officer at the school that you're thinking about going to, so that when you call, then you've got a resource and they know you and they can start building that relationship with you. And as you can tell, financial aid officers can be bribed. I've been in this business for about 42 years, as has been said. And the reason I look the way I do now is because families bring me a dozen chocolate chip cookies just so that I remember who they are, that kind of stuff. So if you want to know how to get to a financial aid person, bring some chocolate chip cookies or oatmeal raisin or something like that. Parents and relatives. The reason I put them up here is students, you need to remember that mom and dad are the ones who are helping you to go to college. Be nice to mom and dad. The lawn still needs to be mowed pretty soon. Hopefully pretty soon. We'll have some snow. We can all go skiing. But there'll be sidewalks to shovel and that kind of stuff too. Be good to your folks. If you're the one that's supposed to take care of the lawn or take care of the dishes or whatever stuff, kind of remember to continue to do that stuff. Because they're going to be helping you with college as well. The other relatives, the reason I put them up there, it might be that your grandparents might be willing to help you to go to college, give you a 0% interest loan or something. They may say, okay, you're going to get my inheritance someday anyway, but I'll give you $10,000 if you go to XYZ school or something, and you can pay me back when you get out of school or something like that. So maybe it's an aunt or an uncle that don't have any kids of their own, so you might think of asking them. They haven't had to prepare for college for their young kids and stuff too. So kind of be thinking about some of those opportunities. So the key here, I think, is just thinking about different places. Old adage, don't leave any stone unturned is true at this point. Think of everything that you possibly can. Kind of be looking for stuff and see what might be available to you. I left it on my couch as I left to run over here tonight. That most people don't take the newspaper, the physical FAFSA form. Anybody happen to see that? Okay, I was wondering, a couple of them. I'm going to bring that over to the school and stuff, so it can be at the counselor's office. So some of the students might want to take a look at this. The FAFSA form is one of the pieces that we were talking about in order to file for federal aid programs. The FAFSA form is the national form, the free form for applying for federal student aid. In that article, they were saying that Idaho is like number 44 in the bottom of people who file a FAFSA form and go on to college. So we need to bring those numbers up. We've been trying to push for some time in the state of Idaho to get people to go on to college and that kind of thing. The FAFSA form, a lot of students who may be eligible have not taken the time to file that FAFSA form, so we really kind of need to do that. Apply for all types of aid, kind of like we were talking about earlier with the different scholarships, the local and the community and that kind of stuff, kind of look for those. Complete your tax return as early as possible. It used to be that we couldn't file the FAFSA form until the 1st of January. October 1st, 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, the FAFSA form will be available online so that you can start filing it. So you want to take advantage of it as early as you possibly can. A lot of schools will give priority consideration to their federal funds for those students who apply early. So you want to apply as early as you possibly can. You want to complete your tax return, but what the tax return is that you'll use on this coming FAFSA year is not the tax return that you are going to be doing in April to meet that deadline, but it's the one that you did last year. So the 2017 tax year is the year that will be reported on the FAFSA form. So you've already done that tax return. So you should be able to use what they call a data retrieval tool, a DRT. It'll give you a drop-down table on that, and you just click on that, and it'll go out to the IRS website, and it'll pull that information in. So it's not near as frightening as it used to be, and that kind of thing. You can do that pretty easily by doing that data retrieval tool. Read and follow the FAFSA form instructions carefully. It walks you through it pretty well, so you won't have too much difficulty with that. But do kind of follow those as close as you can. Keep copies of your applications and different forms that you might complete. This is probably more on the applications for local types of scholarships and that kind of thing. Keep copies of things. Maybe keep a diary of when you actually mail that application off to Pepsi, so that if Pepsi lost the scholarship and you find out that, oh, my name wasn't even in the pot, then you could be able to come back and try to show that you did have that information in there and that kind of stuff. Some websites, and I know we kind of have a number of them on the website, on Nampa Christian's website. So here are probably some of the others that, and some of them have already been mentioned. The FINA.org is one that I really like. It's kind of a sister company to the Fast Web one that Amanda talked about a little bit. And so that it has like 6 different scholarship search companies with it. So it's got a lot of information on there that you may want to try to go out and look at that and see whether you can pick up any scholarships there. Idaho CRS is that career information system, and I think Nampa Christian still has access to the CIS system, so that would be one that you would want to kind of do. You can build profiles of colleges, you can look for scholarships, a lot of information that you can do on that CIS system. The Board of Education, I know it doesn't have as many scholarships as they ought to have for our young people, but most often our Nampa Christian kids, because being a private school, they score really well on their tests, they have higher GPAs, they have a better opportunity maybe of picking up some of the scholarships, but sometimes it's one of those last ones that somebody gets around to applying for. So be sure that you follow the deadlines on that. I think their scholarships all open up sometime in November, but they only have a short 2-month time frame to apply for them and stuff. So be sure to apply for those things at the state board. College is Possible gives you a lot of information about other colleges. Student Aid kind of gives you a lot more information about some of the scholarship search places as well. And fastweb.com. The one thing fastweb.com does really well is you'll go in and you'll build a profile of your information. So they'll be able to see everybody who's from the state of Idaho, who's going to be an engineer, who played baseball, or whatever. They'll be able to say, oh, there's a brand new scholarship for engineer students in the state of Idaho who played first base. So they'll send you an email and say, be sure to check this scholarship out. So be sure that you do build that profile and see what kind of things might come from that. The FAFSA on the web, this is kind of what it'll look like.
On that last slide, two quick things. One, the state of Idaho, the Department of Education, in the last couple of years, like Wes mentions, Idaho is consistently in the bottom of students that go on to college. They have a go-on program, and they've been trying to work through some of those. One of those is they built a website called Next Steps. And so if you Google that, it has stuff, you can start in 8th grade. Now they have things and you can consider working through as an 8th grader. So if you have younger siblings that are not here and they really want to look at college already. But every year it has some things you can do on the process. As a senior, it kind of has a calendar too of make sure you've done this. It has some Idaho scholarships there as well and just other things to consider in the process. The other one really quick is they also have done this initiation. All of you students in the room, you guys all took the SAT last year as a junior, correct? Yeah. So that's one of the things too. They encourage / force every student in Idaho. They now pay for every student, every high school to take the SAT as a junior. So you should have a College Board login through the SAT, and College Board also has some scholarships on there too. So you've already got one, or you're ready with your name on it. So you can check that one out and see what scholarships are there through the SAT program.
I think the bulletin board right outside the room here has the pre-SAT advertised for October 10th. So if you have juniors, get them geared up and ready to start on that. Okay, the FAFSA form. I don't know how many of you might have picked up this flyer that was on the table there, the FAFSA, FSAID. This is their new kind of password, or excuse me, login and password to get into the FAFSA form. It's kind of their security thing. So if you, as a student, have not yet completed that FSAID, you want to go in and log in and get your individual FSAID. Parents, one of the parents also need to have this, because what this does is it kind of acts as your signature. So the student and the parent have to provide information on the FAFSA form, and so each one of you will need to have an FSAID. So if you didn't pick up one of those, I think there's still a supply of them over there. The FAFSA form, like we should.
Do you have to have, as a parent, a separate ID for if you have different college students?
No. The question is if you have multiple kids going to college, do you need, as a parent, a separate one for each kid? Your individual ID will work for you if you're the student and a parent, or if you have 3 kids in college, it'll still work for all 3 of those kids as well. So your only parents need to have one FSAID, and not both parents need to have it, but sometimes they'll do that just for convenience sake. And then each student needs to have one. So if you have 3 kids in college, each of the kids will have one of their own. Good question. The FAFSA form is getting easier and easier to do. A lot of links to different things. If you are a male and have not yet registered for selective service, a lot of you may not have reached your 18th birthday yet and don't have to yet. When you fill out the FAFSA form, if you mark the box, it'll go ahead and register you then, so you don't have to do it otherwise. In order to get federal aid, all males have to register for selective service. The other thing about the names and that kind of stuff, probably the most common mistake that's made on the FAFSA form is that a student may put their abbreviated name. I'll use mine. Marvin Weisgermager Jr. My folks really hung one on me. They gave me this long name, but I go by Wes. So nobody knows me by Marvin, but that's, if I file a FAFSA form, they want to know Marvin W. Maggard and the prefix junior, so that they can match it up to the Social Security office, but that's what's registered at the Social Security office. Okay? So if you're Bubba on the football field, don't put down Bubba Smith, put down that you're John Wesley Smith, okay? All right? FAFSA. The information that you put on the FAFSA form will determine the expected family contribution. This is kind of what every school in the country will use from your giving information on the FAFSA form. It's not what you actually have to write a check for. This is just to compare your family with every family on the nation and determine how much need you have as that is figured. Because we live in Idaho and our tax structure is different from those people who live in California, there are different formulas and different pieces of the formula that get calculated into that and stuff. So that expected family contribution is what they'll determine that the family should be able to pay. Be sitting down when you receive that, because you may have a heart attack if you're not. Oftentimes it's much higher than what we think it should be. But as I mentioned earlier, that if there's two of you in college, in a family that are in college, it may be cutting that expected family contribution in half. So kind of be careful with some of those elements. Colleges use the expected family contribution also to award some of their own individual aid. We kind of touched on that a little bit already. The 2019 FAFSA form will be available in about 3 weeks. October 1st will be when you can start doing that. FAFSA.gov is on Amanda's presentation, so it's on the Nampa Christian's website. That you can just click on FAFSA.gov and it will pull up that homepage and you have your FSA. If you haven't done it yet, you can do it from that homepage and you can get all that kind of stuff started. Okay? Thank you. If I can go through all those again. It's free. The standard form collects demographic information and it's used to apply for federal, state, and institutional funds. Okay? Really kind of about running out of time. I want to give you a chance to ask any questions if you might have anything that way. But the main thing is to apply for the institutional aid, get everything started that way, start building a relationship with the financial aid officer. Do the FAFSA form, do it as early as you possibly can, starting after October 1st. And then looking for those community types of scholarships. Those are the 3 things that you probably really need to take away from this tonight, is to be looking for those outside scholarships, finding out where those can be, and try to locate as many of those that you possibly can. Question?
Wes, let me interject one more thing really quick. One thing that his office deals with and my office deals with is you are not required when you apply to NU to give us, as a student, your social security number. However, we cannot seek your FAFSA without that, because that's what FAFSA uses to make sure we're talking about the same Marvin, Wesley Maggard, or Josh Hodges. So if we don't have your social on file, then we'll never see your FAFSA, and we get that 7 times a week with people that say, hey, I sent it, I put NU. And you can even list NU on the FAFSA as a college to receive it, and they will not send it to us unless we have your social on our side to match it up. So you don't have to give us a social when you apply, but when we start talking about money, at that point we will need it, otherwise we can't help with that part of it.
And that would be true at most colleges, because that is the link that they use to communicate that information to the different schools. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
So most people are going to need some kind of aid, including scholarships. If you don't need any of that aid, do you have to fill out that FAFSA form?
You don't have to, at NNU, you don't have to. There may be some schools that say, you know, before we give you $1 of our academic scholarships and stuff, we want to know what the ability of the family is to pay for college. So in most cases, at least that first year, I encourage you to go ahead and do it, so you can kind of map out, okay, I got 4 years of college that I'm going to have to pay for, maybe 3 if you took a lot of concurrent credits. The individual will end up having to extra need maybe in order to be able to put some of those kind of need type scholarships from the institution on. And you might be surprised that a family who could write a check for the whole thing still might show some need at a university. Jim, I think it's yours.
All right.
Yes. My goodness, what a wealth of information. If I would just touch on a couple of the things that he did, it was a short 5 years ago when I came to Nampa Christian. And knowingly or unknowingly or wittingly or unwittingly, Dr. Wiles gave me a job here, knowing that I was not qualified for the position on paper. I did not have an administration certificate. And so, with no instruction, no night like this, I knew I had to apply at NMU. And my first step was to go on to the FAFSA thing, because for the first time I was going to have to take out some loans in order to complete my ed special to be able to do this. It seems daunting. It seems scary. It seems like there's this fear of the unknown. I don't know where I'm going. I'm not sure what my next steps are to do. So if I were to just simplify on the terms, but repeat nothing different than what Wes said, number one is the FAFSA, the FSA ID. That's step number one, FSA ID. Step number two is FAFSA. Was it org or gov? I can't remember. FAFSA.gov. And he's right. That website is really simple. You just start at the top, put it on down. He talked about that, the go get 'em thing is what I called it, to get your taxes, right? I just put in the information that I needed for my personal tax number and stuff like that, and it went to the federal site. It pulled all my taxes right into the form, and all of a sudden, boom! It just magically appeared. I was like, cool. Next step, and I just bopped right down through that. So please, it is not daunting. It's not scary. It walks you right through that process. So thank you, Wes, for that knowledge and that information. I want to respect your time. It's 8:05, and that's about the time that we had set to wrap things up. I want to take an opportunity. Are there any last questions or comments regarding this information? We still got Josh, Wes here. If I can't answer it, if I don't know it, I'll make up an answer, and it'll sound really good. But I want to leave that opportunity for any last questions. Fantastic. I know Josh has to get out of here pretty soon, but I know that Wes may hang around for just a couple minutes after we dismiss if you have any questions that you would just like to ask him. Thank you so much for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. We hope that this year at Nampa Christian, if you are a senior or the parent of a senior, by having these nights like this, we'll help walk you through. Here's one thing that's an advantage. 1 year ago, we were over a month out from having this. So we were well into October by the time we had this, and then we're saying, hey, the FAFSA opened up on the 1st, and then there was money that was probably more available, and now you missed it, and a lot of freak out moments. So we decided, we're going to move this up a little bit. It's a little bit crowded to put it at the beginning of the year, but I'm glad we got it done because I think the information is good. So thank you so much for coming. You are dismissed. Have a wonderful rest of the week.